Hi, my name is Kim Ewing, and I'm the Director of Training and Engagement with the National Empowerment Center. I want to say thank you for watching this video. For some of you, you might be getting this video because you're preparing for a virtual or in-person training, and I'm excited for you. And for some of you, you might be watching this video because you're curious. You've been wanting to know about this beautiful practice we call emotional CPR. Whatever brings you here, I just want to thank you in advance. So let's get started, and I'm going to pull up our first slide. So emotional CPR, this is a training where we help to support those that are going through a crisis or a trauma or just having a bad day. This beautiful practice was founded around 2009, and we have several founders that are responsible for it. Now, this is not new. I just want to tell you some of the things you're going to learn. You're going to go, Kim, this is not new. We know that. But here's the thing. What we were able to do with this practice is actually make it really a nice form to understand it. And also is to bring our humanity back. So there's some steps that are new. Either way, let's go ahead and explore a little more. So I want you to think about what's so important when you're trying to support somebody that's going through a crisis or a trauma or having a bad day. And really, we like to start with universal empathy, starting with where the person is, really truly, respectfully experiencing the other person's world and being sensitive to unique characteristics. And that means what? Avoiding assumptions about who the person really is and what they need. And how beautiful that is, right? Being able to come with no judgment. And we know sometimes that's hard, especially in today's world. And heck, yesterday's world, tomorrow's world. It's tough. So, do I have to agree with you to be able to support you? I bet you'll say no. And that's so true. But I really want to be able to accept all of you as a full human. So being able to start where that person is so huge. Now, what's also very important is when we think about emotional CPR, what are those emotions? You know, a lot of people see emotion as three. One, I'm happy. Two, I'm sad. Three, I'm really mad. And what we want to do right now is focus in on the emotions that you might be feeling right now. Now, this emotional sensation wheel really gives you a lot of words. So I want you to take a moment and I want you to be able to focus in not on the inner part where you see sad and happy and surprise and fear and anger and disgust. I want you to think about the words in general that resonate with you. So I'm going to give you an example. I remember one particular training, I was focusing in on the word body aches and tiredness. And I thought, well, Kim, you can't pick that because I wasn't feeling sad. But that's how I was feeling. So I picked it because that was really representing me. But listen, at the same time, I was feeling excited and I was feeling proud and man, I was feeling satisfied. You're probably thinking, man, that's a lot of stuff. And the reason why is because I had the bright idea to stain my fence in the backyard. And I forgot, I'm not 20 something anymore. And I paid for it. So the next day I woke up and had these body aches and I was tired and whew, I was hurting. But then I went outside and I looked at my beautiful fence and then I got excited and I felt proud and satisfied. So I want you to take a moment and I want you to think about how you're feeling right now, which is so important Because remembering that emotions are fluid, they're constantly changing. But guess what? That's okay because that's very human. That's very normal. So do me a favor. I want you to pause the video and I'm going to encourage you to pick 3 or 4 words that you resonate with. So will you do that right now? Pause the video and take your time just to see where you are. Now, I want you to remember that it is how you're doing now, not how you think you were feeling, not how you think you're gonna feel, not how you were feeling when you woke up. How are you right now? Because emotions are changing and they're fluid and they're constantly moving. All righty, do me a favor, pause the video and then come back. Pause the video. Okay. If you pause the video, then that means that you had the opportunity to do this exercise. I want you to think about how that feels now, right? And we're constantly going and moving. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of times we're not thinking about how we're feeling. But I bet you, for some of you, that awareness was so beautiful. Just being able to say, you know what, Kim, this is how I feel now. And listen, if you felt like, man, I was in the sad category, that's okay. You have that awareness. But some of you might say, hey, I'm in the happiness category. I have people to tell me, you know what? I got a new job, but I was so happy, but so sad that I was leaving my job. Some people say, you know what? My kid just went off to college and I was so sad, but I was so proud and I was so excited that they went off to college. So all of those can be together because those are all of our emotions. All righty. Thank you for participating in that exercise. Now, the other thing that's really huge is when we think about emotional CPR, we think about it also as we. Now, if you're doing this in person or virtually, I want you to think about us being in a circle because virtually, we can't really do that, but we can imagine it. If you're doing this in person, then we will get in this circle. So this beautiful circle represents all of us. And it's that sameness, right? Which is really huge. Being able to see each other. No big eye, no little eye. We are just one. Now, to do that, that means we have to leave our hats at the door. You know, I've been reminded that no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. I have a wonderful trainer that I train with and absolutely loves this quote, and I have fallen in love with it as well. So I know some of you, you might have big titles, you might have important jobs, but guess what? Does it matter when we're supporting somebody who's going through a crisis or a trauma? Are you thinking about that? Probably not. And nor am I. So being able to leave your hat at the door is really, really huge. Suspend your beliefs. I take a breath on that. And I know again, it's hard. You know, we live in a very polarized world, but it's so huge to be able to do that. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've had some challenges with this, but you know what I love to do now? I love to focus in on what we have in common because I can find so many other things that we have in common. Now, listen, I get it. If it's something super egregious, that's something different. But what about those things that you just say, you know what? I really don't agree with it. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that that stops you from supporting someone that's going through a crisis or a trauma. And next, use your authentic voice. You know, we can tell when someone is having that voice that it sounds very professional. You know what I'm talking about, right? And then there's that voice that just, you know, this is the person. That's the voice that connects with another human being. You know, I tell this often when I do trainings. I remember when I was a kid And my grandmother would answer the phone and she would say, "Hello, this is Mrs. Ewing." And some of you know what I'm talking about, right? That professional voice. But then as soon as she gets off the phone, she's saying, "Honey, will you go get me that pot?" Or, "Sweetheart, close that cabinet." And, "Hey, I want you to go in there and pick up a little bit." Total different voice, right? That's who my grandmother was. She was both professional and she had that "I see you and I am your grandmother" voice, right? The same voice she would use with family and friends and whoever. That's that authentic voice that is so important. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about our 9 statements from our 7 intentions. This really frames the training, okay? And you'll learn more about this if you're going to take the virtual or in-person training. We're going to dive deep into this. So the first one is, I connect through feelings first. It's the very first thing I asked you, right? How are you feeling? What does that mean right now to you? You and I are equally human. That's a sameness video. How huge that is. I'm listening with my heart. We're going with our heart, everybody. We want to get out of our head. I'm sharing how I feel now, that I thought I was feeling, that how I'm going to feel. I want to share how I'm feeling now. I'm in the present moment with you. I don't want to be distracted about, man, what am I going to fix for dinner? And did I turn off the iron? It's all the things that run through your head, right? I'm going to do my very best to be in the present moment with you. Now, this next one's a doozy, right? I am with you, not doing for you. Ah, right? This is for our fixers. And I'm going to be honest with you, we're all fixers. I come from a long line of fixers. My parents, grandparents, my great grandparents, people I've never met. I know it. And here's the deal, it's okay. You do not have to go, "Oh no." And here's the thing, I wish I would have learned this when I was younger. And I'll tell you why. Because in my younger years as a professional, I could have applied this different. And it had been so huge. I had no idea that because I was fixing, that I was taking away somebody's power. And man, I know now, which is really, really huge. And here's the deal. I've been doing this practice a while now, and I'm pretty good of not fixing. But I'm going to tell you what, it doesn't mean it's not in my head. And the other thing, I find it to be really hard to do this with relatives. You probably say, why? Because we know too much. And that's okay too. We're just human. So just remember with this one, we don't want to be a fixer because we don't want to take away anyone's power. We want to support them, and they have the answers, and we can walk with them and beside them. The next one, we're exploring the unknown together. And this goes back to, I don't know everything, but I tell you what, that's okay. So we want to walk with them, right? And together we can explore it, that unknown. We have the power to heal within us. We have everything we need, and we are creating new life now. All right. Thank you for that. And we're going to dive deeper if you're taking the virtual or in-person training. And for some of you who are watching because you're curious, you're like, I want to take this training as well. All right, let's keep moving. So, emotional CPR. The what, the why, I tell everybody, I love to do this exercise in relation to CPR. You know that physical CPR? And I want you to think about it. For some of you, you're probably like, oh yeah, I know CPR. I've done it. For some of you, you have practiced it just in training. And some of you might have actually used it in real life. And some of you are probably saying, golly, Kim, that was a long time ago. I don't really remember it. So I want you to think about it. Like if I was in person with you right now and I shared with you, I'm not feeling good. And all of a sudden I just collapse on the floor. What would you do? I'm sure many of you would be like, wow, I need to call 911. I need to check on Kim, make sure she's doing okay, and follow all the procedures that go with emotional CPR. But guess what? I think you're also going to say at this point, man, she might need the physical CPR. And where are we going to do those physical CPR compressions, right? Over the heart. And we're going to get that heart going again. And why? Is because it gives the body life. Now, how beautiful that is, right? That beautiful practice of CPR. And it's known all over the world. And here's what's really beautiful about it. It saves lives. So I want you to think about it. Why you and I are actually having this beautiful conversation about emotional CPR. I know you're having a conversation with me. Um, it's interesting because we have a lot of people right now, while you're watching this video, that are walking around with a crisis or a trauma or having a bad day. And a lot of people are just walking by. And the question is why? I don't think it's because they are horrible people or mean people. I think it's because they really don't know what to do. But the beauty about learning about this practice, you will learn what to do. And guess what? It doesn't happen overnight, just like the physical CPR. It's practice. Okay. So I want you to think about how beautiful that is. And one day, I believe we're going to be known, just like the physical CPR, emotional CPR will be known globally as well. So, what is the purpose of emotional CPR? To assist another person through emotional distress by connecting through feelings first, respecting each other as equally human, enabling us to be together without fixing, judging, or imposing our beliefs, allowing us to explore the unknown together in the present moment, releasing our power to create new voice, new purpose, and new hope. Isn't that beautiful? So, we're going to talk about another topic, which is trauma. And I was told by an elder that it's not if you're going to experience trauma, it's when, because that is a part of being a human. So, this next slide, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. I'm going to ask you to pay attention to a trauma you are okay exploring. We're going to do an exercise. Now, this is a very short list. I know we could have pages and pages and pages, but we're doing this just for this exercise. And I don't want you to focus in on anything that might really, truly upset you or set you back. I want you to focus in on a trauma you're okay exploring because you're in a better place. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to focus in on one, but it is really not about the trauma for this exercise. Okay. So we have physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, witnessing violence, serious accidents or injuries, childhood adversities, neglect, loss of a loved one, medical trauma, war, combat exposure, bullying, poverty, and houselessness. Okay. This is our short list. Now, I want to go over to another page. Remember, just find one you're okay. And if you need to pause it, please do. And listen, if this is very hard for you, pass it up. I don't want you to do the exercise. But for those of you that say, you know what, I'm okay with this particular one, Kim, then I want you to go ahead and follow me now to the next slide. So the next slide really talks about the emotions. I want you to think about the emotions that are associated with that particular trauma. So we have quite a few. And again, this is a short list: fear, anger, sadness, humiliation, shame, inadequateness, loneliness, remorse, hurt, resentment, confusion, anxiety, depression, and hopelessness. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about that trauma. Let's go back. I want you to think about that trauma you're okay exploring. And then I'm going to go back to the slide once again, and I want you to think about the emotions associated with it. All right, since I'm asking you to do it, I'm going to do it as well. Now, I've picked out a trauma that I'm okay exploring because I'm in a better place with it. I'm going to tell you what it is, but not right away. And I'm going to share the emotions associated with it, okay? So the first emotion I have that I'm thinking about when I think about this trauma is fear, anger, sadness, loneliness, hurt, depression. Now, how many of you could relate to those emotions? Probably a few of you, right? And I haven't even shared what that trauma is that I'm in a better place with. And I take a breath on it because I know what it is. I'm going to share it with you. But I'm sharing these emotions because it's about really connecting with the emotions. A lot of times, people don't have to share what their trauma is. Now, I'll be honest with you, a lot of times we want to know because we just nosy, but we can really resonate with that. And especially if it's a trauma, many of us would say, you know what? I've never experienced that, but you can connect to the emotions. So I'm going to go back to the slide. The one I picked was loss of a loved one. Now, I lost my mother in 2009 to cancer, and I was devastated. And it really, truly put me in a very dark place. And it took me a while to be able to climb out of that hole. And it changed me forever. Now, listen, it doesn't mean I'm over it. I'm in a better place. I don't think you ever get over losing a loved one. And I have good days and I have bad days. And I take a breath once again. But I'm in a better place now. So those were the emotions when I think about when I lost my mom, all the things that I was dealing with. So what did you have? And if you want to take a moment again to take a pause and do this exercise, feel free to do it. And feel free when you stop and pause to go back if you need to. There's no rush. All righty. Thank you so much for this. And thank you for doing this exercise. So we're going to move forward. And we want to talk about ways emotional CPR supports trauma healing. And so there's dimensions, impact of trauma, and outcomes of emotional CPR. So let's start with dimensions, right? That is that relatedness. And we're going to go across the top. That's relatedness. And what is the impact of trauma? Being alienated. Now, how many of you have experienced trauma and have been alienated? I know I have. But the outcomes of emotional CPR is being emotionally connected again. That's so huge. Now, let's go over to the next one. Dimension is power. The impact of trauma is voicelessness. How many of you have felt voiceless, right? Me too. I've experienced it. But what is the outcome of emotional CPR? Being emotionally powerful again. The next one is an emotional state. And then the impact of that trauma is feeling numb and disassociated. I felt that too as a person with lived experience. And man, the outcomes of emotional CPR is being emotionally revitalized. Now, I absolutely love this slide. And this slide was drawn by one of our founders, Dr. Dan Fisher. And Dr. Dan Fisher, um, he had an experience when he was hospitalized, and I really encourage you to Google it and find out more. You might be interested in learning about his articles in his book, and he tells you more about it as well. But he had an experience when he was hospitalized, and he wanted to really share it. And he went to one of his daughters, and I found out now who the daughter is, which is beautiful, and it was Lauren. And so Lauren draws, and he asked Lauren, he said, "Will you draw this for me?" And Lauren said, "No, Dad, I'm gonna do it." And they said, "I want you to draw it because you can capture it." And I'm so glad they suggested that to their father. So let's look at this. I want you to look at the person as by themselves, okay? And that's on the left side. I want you to think about what you see. And to do that, you might want to pause the video. Just pause it for a minute and tell me what you see. Pause it. Okay. For some of you that paused it, thank you for doing that. What did you see? For example, do you see a person that's really just trapped in this monologue? And did you see the sad face? Did you see the broken heart? Did you see how the head was disconnected from the body? And many people talk about how it's not clear the body being connected. But all of that really is being trapped in a monologue. Now, how many of you have experienced this? I know, right? Quite a few. I know I have. Now, remember, I told you I lost my mom in 2009, and that was me. I was just so devastated and so lost. My mom was trying to prepare me for her death, and she said, "Honey, you'll be okay. You will get through this." And I said, "Yeah, no, I won't." And she did her very best to do that. But I could not wrap my head around losing my mother. So what happened? I went into a deep, dark depression for a while. But then again, while I'm going through this, I had family and friends that were coming by and checking on me. And some of them just did not know what to do or what to say. And that's okay because it's hard to watch their loved ones hurt. But some people, not only did they stop by and bring food, they asked if they could come in. And when they came in, they actually just sat with me. How many have ever had a person just to sit with you and not say a word? I know I have. And we were so connected, powerfully connected. And wow, it made all the difference in the world. And so now I'm feeling this connection. I had a few family and friends that could do this. Now I'm feeling this connection that just brings me back a little. And then next, I'm feeling empowered to go, "You brought some food, didn't you? I would love to go have some of that food." And then I go and I get a plate. So now I'm feeling empowered. Then after having the food, while they're there, I decided to go ahead and take a shower. I started to feel revitalized. You know, at this time, I did not know about emotional CPR. It's only when I reflected back on this trauma that I realized that's what was taking place. And that's why I said it's nothing new. And man, how beautiful it was that it's several people that knew how to be with me. Now, I want you to look at the two people on the other side of the screen. And what do you see there? Right? Some of you probably see connection, connecting heart to heart, holding hands. Listening, how huge just to listen to a person. And what do you see? Connection, connecting through feelings first. And then empowerment. Empowerment is reminding that person that they still have choices and they still have a purpose. I needed to be reminded of that. And revitalization is you see a shift or a change in a person. Sometimes they're smiling, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they just stop crying. Now, can you tell who's who? You can't, can you? And why I love this particular slide is because it really summarizes emotional CPR and this beautiful practice that we all love. Thank you, Dan, for drawing it. And thank you, Lauren, for making your father draw it. Now, I just want to tell you that it is okay if you say, you know what, I just don't understand how's revitalizing just, if they're just okay, right? Because maybe you left them in a better place than you found them. Sometimes people just stop crying. And with these two particular people, where you can't tell who's who, a lot of times it's just not you supporting that person, they're supporting you as well. Have you ever supported somebody? And then at the end, you're crying, they're laughing, you're laughing. Both people get something out of it. Now, this just gives you a different way of looking at it, that heart to heart connection. Now, again, if you're doing this virtually, we're going to try this on. If you're doing it in person, we're going to try this on so you can actually really utilize this once you leave our training. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Let's get on to our next slide. So, what are the three phases of emotional CPR practice? C, connect with compassion and concern to open up communication, especially heart to heart. P, I know we took a little liberty with that one. Don't laugh. To experience passion and purpose. You know, when a person is going through a crisis of trauma, they forget. I know I did. And I'm grateful for those that poured into me to remind me of my passion and my purpose. Revitalize, right? That's where that R comes in to increase new energy, new life, creativity, hope, interest in people. Those are the three phases of emotional CPR. Connect, empower, revitalize. Now, this is a nonlinear growth, a revitalization from cycles of connecting and empowering. And as you can see, starting in the middle, you see revitalize. But first, connecting is so huge to be able to do any of those, right? And along the way, as you connect, empowerment gets bigger. And look in the middle, revitalizing gets bigger and bigger. And listen, sometimes we lose connection, and that's okay. Sometimes we say something that might disconnect us from a person. And you can say, hey, I noticed that you seem different or you changed. Is there something I said? And they may say yes. And then you could say, you know what? I am so sorry. I'd like to know if we can move forward and connect again. And so that's the reason why there's just no set 1, 2, 3, because we might be constantly experiencing connection and empowerment and revitalization just back and forth. We'll talk about that more in detail if you're doing this also in person or virtually. So, what are the levels of emotional CPR? Well, we start in the middle, and we start in the middle with these two beautiful humans, right? Practicing emotional CPR. And if you're the person that's supporting, or even if you're the person that is being supported, it's really huge then to think about me CPR. For many of us, this is called self-care. And what does that look like for you? And you know what? Feel free to pause the video if you want to think about what self-care is for you. And not only pause it, write down what you do. Pause it. Okay, we're back. So if you had the opportunity to write it down, I hope you found that, wow, I'm really doing this. That's what we call me CPR. So, a lot of times when I am doing training, practicing with someone, or even supporting someone in emotional CPR, whew, I just feel so tired because I've poured in. And for me, what is me CPR? Sometimes it's just taking a moment to take a nice walk with my dog. Sometimes it's actually just fixing a beautiful meal. And sometimes I just want to lay back and maybe binge on some very favorite shows. And then sometimes I don't want to say a word. But whatever that is for you, it's to be practiced. And then there's the we, and that is all of us together. And we will experience this virtually and also in person. This community CPR is huge. That means it's all the community. This is where we hope that we go. Now, I want you to look at this slide really good. What do you see in the background? Do you see the world? Yes, the world. And this is a global practice. We practice this literally all over the world. And we have trainers all over the world as well. So let's do a recap, and we're going to talk about something new. The 7 intentions of emotional CPR. Connect. I will connect through feelings first. Remember, that was the first thing I asked you to do, is tap into your feelings. Respecting you as equally human, fully listening with my eyes, my ears, and my heart. The next one, to connect. I will hold space for my broader feelings, which is so huge. There's those deeper feelings, right? And just really have them to resonate. Really becoming aware of those. So important. And that 3, I will share again my broader feelings and thoughts and stay with you. So I love this character. And this character is called Ting. Now, how did we come across it? I'll tell you about that in a minute. But this teen character means to listen. One character mean to listen. And it's all broken down to mean different things. Now, here's what's really neat about it. One of our founders, Dr. Dan Fisher, he was actually doing a training in Singapore. And someone brought this character to him. And they said, you know what? This reminds me of emotional CPR. And he was like, whoa, really? And then let's take a look at it. So at the top, you see here to here, right? And then at the bottom, to honor. And then on the right side is to be present. And then also to see and to focus in on that person. They're the most important person before you. And then, of course, to feel with your heart. Now, I want you to think about the word listen in English. What does that mean? To hear. That's it. To hear. This is so much bigger than that. And a lot of people love this because it really summarizes emotional CPR as well. So moving forward, empower, right? I will be with you without fixing, judging, or advising. Now, listen, I know it's hard, especially for my fixers out there. We're so used to advising. We're so used to being so helpful. Guess what? That's fixing. And we want to move forward in a way where we're not doing that anymore, right? And it's a practice. The next one. I'm not sure what's best for you. Together, we explore the unknown together. It's so beautiful when we do that. Then the next one of empowerment is together we release the power to heal that lies within us, moving towards our wellness. The last one, remember, is revitalize. And revitalize is we authentically create new life, new voice, and new hope in the present moment, which is revitalizing. And this is when we see a shift or a change in the person. And it's so huge when we see that. Sometimes people smile, sometimes they laugh, sometimes they stop crying, sometimes they just take a breath. All righty, next slide. How to have a conversation without asking closed-ended questions or engaging in the story. One, share what you feel in your body in response to being with a person in distress and really like noticing, like, I notice my stomach is tight. So I want you to think about this. I want you to think about if a friend said, hey, I just witnessed a bad accident. And then immediately you go, oh, whew, wow. Um, that just took my breath away. And I felt like I couldn't even catch my breath. So that is really just having that response, right? Of that feeling. It's just your breath. Maybe you're tight in your chest. I respond with my facial expression, eyes and hand gestures and bodies, not mimicking, but just trying it on. So what is so huge is somebody says, man, I was just witnessed a bad accident. Maybe you're like, whoa, right? There's a facial expression and it's not put on. It's just yours. You're just not being a robot, right? You're being a real human. I share images. I might visualize in response. And maybe you just visualize, you said, I just visualize these two vehicles coming together. And whoa, it was so scary what I saw. And maybe you're repeating a word or a phrase that the person in distress says that they seem to carry greater feeling. And maybe the person is saying, oh my gosh, I just witnessed this bad accident. And it reminded me of an accident I was in. And it really just affected me. And I'm just now I'm just in shock. I'm in shock. Now, if the person is repeating the word, I'm in shock, you might say, you know what? I heard you say that a few times. Tell me more. What does in shock mean to you? How are you feeling? And we will practice that if you are going to do this with us virtually or in person. All right, let's look at some other ways. So there's way to connect creatively and also nonverbal, right? And this is another lovely drawing by Dr. Dan Fisher. So I want you to think about what that might look like for you, right? So you have these two humans that are before each other, and images are coming up. Eye contact. Now, I just want to let you know, in some cultures, eye contact, well, it might not be so great. It might be considered disrespectful. Some cultures, eye contact is very important and very respectful. So you really have to know your person. Okay. Tone of voice. How's your tone of voice? That's what they're going to connect to. Breathing. Are you noticing a breathing, right? Are they breathing fast? Are they breathing shallow? What is happening? Did they just take a deep breath out of just sharing something with you? Which you could say, you know what? I just noticed you took a deep breath. Tell me more. And gestures. What are their gestures? Now, if you are doing this in person, you might want to look at their hands, their body movement. Are they moving their leg quite a bit? What's happening where you can see this? Now, I will tell you that if you're doing it virtually, all we have is this box, and that's it. So you want to really pay attention to what you see in the box, right? And that goes with body sensations and movement of the body. So at this point, what we'll do, if we are doing this virtually or in person, you'll get an opportunity to try this on. And what does that look like? Well, we call these real plays. And the real plays gives you an opportunity to practice with somebody else. So for example, you will find two trainers that will show you what it looks like. And these trainers will actually do a real play. Now, we've learned in the past that there's no need to do a role play. because we have enough stuff that we can actually share. So a real play would be, let's say, for example, I'm working with another trainer, and this trainer says, Kim, I would love for you to support me. Okay. And then I will support them. And then you'll be able to see practice, connection, empowerment, and revitalization. And I hope you see that. And then we're going to talk about what that is. Now, after you see this done with trainers, then you get a chance to try this on. Now, virtually, we break up into groups, and each group has a trainer. And then in person, we do the same thing. And everybody will get an opportunity to try this on. Our goal is to make sure that you have the opportunity to try this on before you leave our training session, which is so important because it gives you an idea of what it feels like to do it. And sometimes people go, whoa, that's hard because I started thinking about fixing. And that's okay too. Because guess what? We want you to have grace. You're not going to get this overnight. I didn't get this overnight. It was super hard for me. And it's because I've been fixing for so long. So we're going to give you an opportunity just to connect. You won't have to go through all of it. And you may say, wow, thank you for that. I have an opportunity to really do this. And we hope you take the opportunity. You could say no, but we would love for you to say yes. Majority of people do and have the opportunity to try it on before they leave. And then after training, then you get an opportunity to try it with anybody that you feel comfortable in doing it with. And you may say, Kim, what if I mess up once I leave? Guess what? They don't know. And you continue to practice and practice and practice. All righty, let's keep moving. So let's go ahead and recap again. Connecting. Connecting. I connect through feelings first. I connect through feelings first. I connect through feelings first. We don't want to do motivational interviewing. That's not what connects us. It's feelings. I feel your presence. I will stay with you, sharing my broader feelings of being with you. Empowering. I might notice I feel uncomfortable, experience the other person's presence, and experience the other person's distress, and will want to judge them or fix them to relieve my discomfort. Now, I want you to think about that, right? It's not always easy when we listen to somebody and they're sharing something that makes us super uncomfortable. It's hard, but we will allow ourselves to do that. I might share my own words. I'm not here to fix you, judge you, but to be together with you. When I resist judging or fixing, I ask myself, how can I accept not knowing what might happen next and what to do next? I might share my own words. I feel helpless, but I trust in our next moment together, we will both gain greater understanding, and together we will assess the power to heal that's within us. Isn't that beautiful with empowering? So what's really huge too about empowering is reminding that person they still have choices. When a person's going through a crisis or trauma, they forget. And that's huge in reminding them of their purpose. Now, if we're going to do this in person, we're going to talk about the conventional help. Now, I just want to take a piece from this right now because I think this is really huge. And then you can pause and take a look at this as well. But what's really huge with emotional CPR is not to hijack someone's story. We've all been hijackers, y'all. Somebody sits up here and they want to tell you about, oh my gosh, you won't believe what happened. And then next thing you know, you're listening and then you go, oh my God, that happened to me. And then you're like, oh, let me tell you about what happened. And the person's like, okay, what just happened? I just called just to share this with you. and you just hijacked my story. So we don't want to hijack y'all. That conventional way, man, is to say, I know how you feel, and we don't want to do that either. Now, the other one is you are feeling angry right now. We don't want to label people. That's not okay. Is I'm feeling tension in my body, right? That's really the focus. And you can even ask, I'm seeing something. Tell me how you're feeling right now. I've had many people to have just a face that you would say they gotta be angry. And I'll say, how you feeling? And they'll go, I feel great. You're like, hold on, I thought you were feeling angry. And we don't want to judge and we don't want to sit up here and put a label on somebody based off what we see. And that should do this. Nah, we don't want to do that as well. And have you ever? Not not good at all. And have to, must, never, always. So the emotional CPR way is really saying, I'm not sure what we should do right now. I don't know. What does that look like, right? And I've noticed that you're good at. You can come up with better words. And I'm feeling. Comparing conventional help and emotional CPR as far as assistance, right? So I want to summarize this slide. You could stay with it as long as you want. But I want to summarize this slide. What's so different about it? Um, and I'm reminded of my grandmother. And I remember, she had to have, go to the doctor. She's had operations, God rest her soul. And I remember her saying to me, she would say, Kim, that doctor had the best bedside manner. And I was like, really? And she said, yeah, I just love him. Now, here's what's interesting. They weren't wearing that white coat to intimidate or to make that person feel less than. They would come in the room and they would say, hey, Miss Ewing, how you doing? How you feeling? So I want to tell you about today's procedure. And some people would come in, never say hi, never connect with you. They're looking over at their assistant, they're writing down stuff, and they'll say, oh, your surgery is in about an hour, and then walk out. Right? But I love thinking about these doctors because they were truly connecting with feelings first. And they were truly connecting with their heart. And a lot of them are super smart, but it doesn't mean you don't have a heart. So how beautiful that is to be able to do that. And they weren't trying to fix. Well, I take that back. In some cases, they have to do that because that's their job. And by the way, I want you to know, I don't want you to stop doing your job. But this connecting through feelings first is so huge because it allows you to do your job better. And I'm going to be honest, I've been a trainer for a very long time. And I knew nothing about emotional CPR. And emotional CPR truly has made me a better human and a better trainer. And I like to say a better friend and family member. Of course, you have to ask them. But I really believe it's changed my life because I feel it deep in my heart. I just connect in a different way. And I'm so grateful for this beautiful practice. It allows me to truly connect with those that I serve and also with family and friends better. Suicide prevention and emotional CPR, they go together. The reason why I love this beautiful practice is because it allows us to see one's humanity. It says, I see you during one of your toughest days. If a person is really using strong language, or if a person is dealing with suicide ideation, or if a person has a plan, by practicing emotional CPR with anyone who's having a really hard time in their life. It allows us to do a few things, which is restore hope and regain a sense of possibility. It helps us to develop plans together. We're collaborating together. One is not feeling forced or compelled against their will. That's that humanity part. And yes, we can find ways where we can be together so neither one of us are alone. And I know that sometimes it's very scary supporting someone who's really having a hard time in this area. And then it allows us to explore ways to be together so we can experience new possibilities and new life. What I really also love, it allows us to slow it down. Because when we feel scared, when somebody is telling us something, that our heart is racing, we may make quick decisions that can also cause more trauma to that person. So it allows us to say, I see you. I'm with you. I got you. It allows us just to take a breath together. Now, I'm not going to leave you there. I don't want to do that. I want to leave you with revitalization because this is what we hope we experience, right? We hope to experience this change that we see, revitalizing. I realize that being mutually together is bringing new life. If I can let go of my need to fix or explain, we can be together in a way that both experience new life, new hope for a brighter future starting now. Isn't it beautiful? And the last one, I start feeling we are more alive and hopeful when we try to be here now with each other at an emotional level and not feeling the need to fix you or tell you what to do. Man. I love this practice. And I hope you get an opportunity to take this training if you just stopped by and you wanted to learn more about it. Or if you decided, you know what, I want to share this with my group for lunch and learn. I hope it leads you to taking this training. And it's a 2-day training, y'all. In this 2-day training, we will go over these slides. And in addition to that, we will try this on. Now, we do have 1 days and half days and special customized trainings that we can do just for you. And you can reach out to me. I'm going to leave you with a slide with all my information on it, which will be really huge. For those of you that are going to be doing this in person, I can't wait. You're going to love it. And I look forward to you being able to have the opportunity to try this on. Those of you who are going to do it virtually, I'm so excited as well. Two are so wonderful, and they both give you different experiences, but at the same time, the same. A lot of people just walk away different. And I tell you, I get more emails from people saying, thank you. You won't believe what this did to me. It changed my life. And that's why we continue to do it. So I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And of course, representing the National Empowerment Center. But before you go, this is something I always do. I want you to think of one word of what you're walking away with today. What is that one word? Think about it. And you can pause this video if you want, right? You got to write down my information anyway. You're going to say, I need to take this training. What is that one word? Okay, I want you to think about that. But before we say goodbye, if you are interested in this training and you're not going to be doing it virtually or in person, and you're not preparing for that, please go to our website. We have trainers all over the world that are happy to be able to do this training for you and your organization or your group. And you can find out the trainings. Also, the National Empowerment Center puts on trainings as well. And you can always take a look at our website and see, okay, now let's get back to that one word. What is that one word for you? Okay, I have to tell you mine, right? My one word is grateful. I am so grateful to know this beautiful practice, and I'm so grateful that I was able to share it with you. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining me today and learning about this beautiful practice that has changed my life. I hope you get an opportunity to be able to do it, and I hope you get the opportunity to be able to share it. For those of you, again, that are doing it virtually and in person, we look forward to training you. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Do me a favor, get in that me CPR that we call self-care. That's so important. You deserve it. Alrighty. See you later. Goodbye. And thank you so much. Bye-bye.